we got to feed our spirit, and not just feed our spirit anything. We have to feed our spirit the right things. Just like our body, when we feed it and it's a whole bunch of junk, it make us feel bad, make our stomach hurt. We don't feel good, our skin looking bad. And that's just like our spirit. When we feed our spirit a whole bunch of gossip, listening to these people chatty pat and gossip, man, that hurt our spirit. We feeling bad, doing bad, thinking bad, and we don't even know why. It's because we feeding our spirit a whole bunch of junk. But when we feed our spirit inspiration, positivity, things that help us be a better version, we gonna feel better about ourselves. We gonna have a smile on our face and a glow, a pep in our step, and that's just because we feed our spirit the right things. So just like we feed our body the right things for good health results, we need to feed our spirit the right things for good spirit results, for real. Sometimes we had to go through that. I had to go through that breakup. I had to take them bullet wounds. I had to take those stab wounds. I had to get cheated on. I had to get thrown in jail. I had to get hooked on drugs. Too many times we complain about where we been, but where we been is to give us our purpose, to help us to where we going. And when we get our God-given purpose, we could do what Jesus told his disciples to do, and that is to serve. And when we start serving, that is how we are free and can live in peace no matter what's going on around us. We will understand nothing happened to us, it happened for us. I had to get shot. I had to get stabbed. I had to get cheated on. I had to go to jail. I had to get hooked on drugs, because it gave me empathy so I won't snub my nose to anybody else who go through that. It gave me wisdom, learning life lessons through that so I can help other people go through what I've been through. And that's how we walk in our God-given purpose. When we walk in our God-given purpose and we serve, we can go to our deathbed at peace. Paul said, I fought a good fight. We could go out like that and not with a whole bunch of regrets when we walk in our God-given purpose, took what we've been through to serve, for real. Holding unforgiveness is like drinking poison, hoping somebody else die. They don't care. You giving that person too much energy. But at the same time, you know who that person is. You know exactly who they are. Just because you forgive them don't mean you bring them back in your inner circle to hurt you and tear down everything you got going on. Yeah, I forgive you. I'm not holding no judgment, no hard feelings, but I know exactly who you are. And I love you, but I'm going to love you from a distance, for real. We become frontline diabolical haters when somebody has something that we think we deserve or should have. And they got it just because they took a step in faith and got started. They got started while we sitting there overthinking, trying to line everything up perfect before we get started. I gotta have the right amount of money. I got to get approval from these people. And these people just walked out, took a step in faith and get started. And you might think you look better. You might think you more talented, but they got started while you sitting there procrastinating, sitting there waiting for the perfect moment that would never come. And now you a diabolical frontline hater because you think they doing something you should be doing, but you never took that step in faith and got started, for real. One thing I learned this the hard way. Some people gonna like you or dislike you no matter what you do or don't do. You could bend over backwards for somebody. You could get them your last and they just won't like you, and that's fine. And at the same time, it's a person you do bare minimum for, but they appreciate you and like you, and that's fine. Some people like you or dislike you no matter what. But trying to convince this person to like you or believe in you, it's a waste of time and a waste of energy. So I really believe in going where I'm celebrated and not where I'm tolerated, for real. One thing I learned, when you trying to build something, when you trying to be the best version of yourself and reach greatness and pull yourself out of a situation you don't want to be in, you have to be around decisive people, because you have to be decisive. When you see that opportunity, a lot of times you have to jump on it. But we hinder ourselves so many times by overthinking and not getting started. And not only do we have to get started, we have to be around people who get started. Now, let me think, overthinking and procrastinating, because what's going to happen, they going to waste a whole bunch of your time, waste a whole bunch of your energy, and have you missing opportunities that could change your life because you waiting on this person to make their mind up. And so when you get in those rooms and get in those meetings or have those opportunities and you, oh, duh, it's a million people want that spot. It's a million people want that opportunity. So not only that you have to be ready and take that step in faith and get started, we have to be around people who ready to take that step in faith and get started and not overthinking, procrastinating, or indecisive, for real. One thing I learned this the hard way. Some people gonna like you or dislike you no matter what you do or don't do. You could bend over backwards for somebody. You could give them your last and they just won't like you, and that's fine. And at the same time, it's a person you do bare minimum for, but they appreciate you and like you, and that's fine. Some people like you or dislike you no matter what. But trying to convince this person to like you or believe in you, it's a waste of time and a waste of energy. So I really believe in going where I'm celebrated and not where I'm tolerated, for real. Sometimes we get frustrated because we don't get what we prayed for. We don't get what we think we deserve. But one thing I learned, a blessing too soon ain't a blessing at all. Sometimes we just be in the process, because when we go through the process, those steps humble us. Those steps teach us wisdom and give us patience. So when we get what we think we should have, we can handle it. Because sometimes when we don't go through that process, we get blessed with something and we still arrogant. Instead of using it to bless other people, we are rubbing at other people's face. Sometimes we pray for a relationship or a certain type of person to come in our life, but sometimes if we don't go through that process, we won't appreciate that person. And so we have to go through those steps to humble us and give us wisdom. But we want to start at the finish line, not knowing a lot of times a blessing too soon ain't a blessing at all, for real. I once read when geese fly together in formation, they use 70% less energy than they would use if they was flying alone. When they flying together, they completing each other and not competing with each other. I don't believe we could do anything in this world worthwhile on our own. I believe life is a team sport, and we would never be the best version of ourselves trying to do everything on our own. But too many times, instead of working together, we working against each other. And instead of completing each other, we compete with each other. So I feel when we come together and work together and look at our thing as a team, and not just this individual me selfish mentality, we could be a lot further in life, for real. I'm learning just to shut up. You can't make sense to somebody who don't want to be made sense to or have no sense. It is a waste of time and energy. Energy you need to run your race and walk in your God-given purpose. And the moment you keep going back and forth to someone who ain't even paying attention to what you talk about is a waste of time and energy, and it will drain you, for real. A lot of times we have to renew our mind and upgrade our thinking. What got us out of this situation and to this point ain't gonna get us to that point. And we hang on so many old habits, like this how mama always taught me. Well, we was taught wrong. A lot of times, to be the best version of ourselves, it's not so much stuff that we have to learn. It's so many things we have to unlearn. When we come from certain environments, we have to unlearn so many things to get to the environment we want to be. And so we can't hold on old ways to get to the new things and the new journey and be the best version of ourselves, for real. I had to learn I can't be the best version of myself, wasting too much time and valuable energy trying to change people. Matter of fact, who am I to think I should change anybody else? A dog gonna bark is not gonna say meow. So if that person come around you and they a liar, they're a manipulator, they're a user, we think I could just show them something different, they a change. That's who they are. I can't get mad at a bumblebee for stinging me, because guess why? A bumblebee sting is in their nature. And so if that bumblebee sting me, is nothing personal. I cannot teach that bumblebee to bark. And so when that person are who they are, you cannot change them. If they got their mindset made up, I am good the way I am. And so when they do exactly who they are, if they a thief and they steal from you, they a liar, they lie on you, they a gossiper, they gonna gossip about you. It ain't nothing personal. That's just what they do. I cannot be mad because they showed me who they are and I still brought them around thinking they could change. No, you accept that person for who they are and love them from a distance if who who they are is not aligned with you and your God-given purpose, for real. Jay-Z once said Hov did that, so hopefully you don't have to go through that. And I thought that was so powerful. I thought that was so profound, because when we go through things, we go through the trials, the tribulations, the setbacks, making the mistakes, we get wisdom out of that. We learn life lessons out of that. And it's our responsibility, it is our job to teach the next generation all the life lessons, all the wisdom, the do's, the don'ts, to have them start at a higher level than us, so they could be at the next level and be way better than we was. And so it's our job to be the crash dummies and make the mistakes so they don't have to do it. And so when we learn the wisdoms, the cheat codes, and all the trial and errors that we've been through, it's our job to pass it on so they could start at a higher level and be way better than we did. And it's their responsibility to do the exact same thing so they don't have to start from the bottom. We start the foundation and they just keep building and building and building something great, for real. One thing I learned, man, living your truth is so freeing. Put your flaws on Front Street so they can't use it against you. I already said it about myself. So what you saying about me don't even hurt. And so a lot of times we put our flaws on Front Street and not trying to be perfect. A lot of times people be like, man, I can relate to that. And you can actually help a person and not even knowing it. So if you hate me for my flaws, I'd rather for you to hate me for who I am than put up this persona like I'm perfect, can't even look in the mirror because I'm not being authentic, and you love me for that. So I'd rather for you to hate me for who I am than love me for who I ain't. That's why I am who I am, even when it's unpopular. I am a cast off, for real. Sometimes a blessing too soon ain't a blessing at all. We upset, we frustrated because we prayed for something, we think we deserve something, and we don't get it when we want. But that be a blessing because we probably skipped steps and didn't go through the process that it took for us to handle the blessing. We might get that blessing, and it might be a lot. And instead of us using that blessing to be a blessing to other people, we might stub our nose and throw it in other people's face because we not mature or humble enough to handle it. And so sometimes we have to go through the steps to humble us. Sometimes we pray for a relationship, a partnership, and a friendship, and we get it, and we take that person for granted because we not mature enough to handle it. We blow relationships, friendships, and opportunities just because we immature or we ungrateful. So when we go through that journey, we learn to be appreciative. We learn to be grateful. We learn the do's and the don'ts. But sometimes when we start at the finish line, we get that blessing too soon. And when we get that blessing too soon, sometimes it's not a blessing at all, for real. One thing I learned, man, when you know your purpose, a lot of people not going to see it. Matter of fact, nobody probably won't see it because a purpose and a vision is spiritual. And you trying to make this person see what you see, and they can see what you see in the physical, but a vision, a purpose is spiritual. And so a lot of times you might have to take that step in faith alone, and God will send you the people down the road, for real. We be so focused on who didn't that we overlook and discredit the people who did. Too many times we so worried about what we don't have, who we don't have, and what we lost that we take for granted the people we do have and what we have. And one thing I learned, when we live like that, we ungrateful, and whatever we not grateful for, we will lose. And then we be mad, wishing we had what we had when we had it. And so sometimes we got to take our mind off of who didn't and appreciate all the people who did, for real. Get started. Take that step in faith and get started. Quit waiting for the right time, because the right time would never come. Quit waiting for the approval of people because they can't see your vision. The vision is spiritual. They can see what you see in the physical, but they can't see what you see in the spiritual. They can't see your vision. So waiting for the approval of people will have you sitting overthinking and procrastinating for the rest of your life. You don't want to go to your deathbed with a whole bunch of regrets. So I say, take that step in faith and get started, for real. A lot of friendships, a lot of partnerships, a lot of relationships end because the person who always giving got tired of this person always taking. So what I say, if you always getting gave to, always getting inspired, always getting blessed, sometimes you have to bless who blessing you. You have to feed who feeding you. If you don't, you will be a liability and a drain to people. So when we had that gimme, help me mentality, and we not reciprocating the favor, the blessing, the help, people would get tired of us, and we'd think, man, they changed up on us, they switched on me. No, they got tired of you taking. So instead of us always being a liability, we have to make ourselves an asset so we won't drain and burn people out for real.